it in. We broke down the door, we came to win. TLA Season 4, it's a whole new game. We the agents of change. Whole new scope with a whole new range. It didn't exist, so we built our own lane. We all knew the risk, it's a cold-ass game. But first and foremost, we reppin' the fans because we nothing but fans living out our dreams. Crossing the pond with these 32 teams. There's only one road and there's only 5 kings.
Welcome to 32 Kings Road, hosted by the League Ambassadors.
Happy birthday, sir!
I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and yes, it is my birthday. Thank you, Omar. Hey,
we still going.
Listen. Was I the okay? This is all gonna get exactly. You're killing our money right now.
Sorry, Stevie.
Anyway, this is another episode of 32 Kings Road, hosted by the League Ambassadors. I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and it is truly my pleasure to be here today with my brothers. This is episode 71 of our vodcast. As a reminder, you can follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. Please check out our website, theleagueam.com. Please follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors. We are going to continue our NFL International Series by talking about this upcoming Sunday's teams that will be participating at Tottenham Stadium. That's the Carolina Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll also cover some of the hottest topics that are going on in the NFL. There's a lot that's happening. We're getting into the meat of the season. But first, Junior Blue. What you sipping on, sir?
I'm sipping on a little Stella, and I'm also sipping on how over the weekend my Oakland Raiders bitch slapped the Chicago Bears offensive line and their defensive line. That's it. That's all.
Who's a fan of the Chicago Bears? Junior Blue?
The man to my right.
I got something for you.
Yeah, what you sipping on, sir?
Gentlemen, it's good to be here. I'm sipping on what's left of this apple crown from my birthday weekend. And
Happy
I'm going to keep the
birthday,
history
Kev.
things going. Appreciate it.
Glad to see you made it.
Keep the history belated. Devin and I celebrated birthdays this past week. Keep the history theme going that the last time the San Francisco 49ers were 4-0 was the day that my parents brought me home from the hospital 29 years ago today. So either I'm getting old or the Niners have been bad longer than they've been good. So yeah, I think that's worth noting. Oh, and just since Devin's not here, he's gone on assignment. I'm gonna throw another one out there for him. Hey, shout out to Mr. Tyler Perry. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't know, the guy did some epic shit this past week.
He had a great Gatsby weekend.
Listen, man. Hopefully, the production that comes out of said studio matches his quality. But hey, I'm happy for him. Black excellence. Props to that brother.
I'm with you on that. I hope that the production matches the studio, and also that he actually pays his black interns. I'm sipping on some pale ale, and I'm also sipping on some Oak Heart because you know what? It's my birthday. I'm gonna sip on it, and I'm also sipping on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, an organization that probably had the most catastrophic injury in the NFL in the last easily 15, 20 years. All right.
And
so you need to have all your faculties working, pun intended.
But
this Sunday, quarterback Mason Rudolph, who listen, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, but I have to say it this way. Earl Thomas knocked him from, fully chromosomed to straight retard status. If you saw the face, He had a cross between a Down syndrome face and a retard face.
Hey, it's your birthday. They gotta forgive you.
Listen, and it was so bad,
Hey,
and it was funny. Dad was like, "I've never seen that before." And the truth of the matter is, we see it all the time where guys are strapped down.
We too close
and
for you to be fucking up the money.
And I know, and they leave the helmet on, but they left his helmet on, took the grill off, okay, and the cart didn't work. Pittsburgh.
Don't ever play with matches.
That shit was wild,
The
man.
card didn't work. So you had to have this guy who clearly reverted back to 6 years old, who was stumbling along this. It was a bad look
it was
all the
really
way
good.
around.
Especially from one of the premier franchises in the league.
One of the premier franchise. And again, just a minute ago, you had another guy who we are surprised to this day that
walk.
he's still walking.
Yeah.
Get it together, Pittsburgh. That's what I'm sipping on. Red O.
I am sipping on Lil Oakheart. But speaking of get it together, Houston Rockets.
Let this be a lesson for the league ambassadors as we continue to expand and grow global.
Yeah.
We've got to be aware of where we go.
Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morey.
Uh-oh.
He had a tweet that has been deleted. It was deleted so fast that the Houston Rockets publicist has to be Barry Allen, because they deleted it so fast it broke the sound barrier. If you don't know who Barry Allen is, that's the Flash. So Daryl Morey did something that normal humans do when they see atrocities or human rights get violated. They express their emotions in support of the people who are affected by that. So his tweet was basically in support of supporting Hong Kong anti-government protesters who are protesting the Chinese government and their treatment of their people. And to quote, not even to quote, but to speak on the Chinese government, who showed everybody that they are the 800-pound gorilla in the room. and the NBA, when they're on American soil, are fearless. They do what they want. China said no, and they acted like some bitches. China said, this is not what you're going to do. And they threatened the business of the NBA going international. And the NBA instantly became someone who was apologetic. I fully expect Daryl Morey to be fired within the next year. And it was surprising, and not only surprising, but it was conspicuous because of how the NBA moves. The NBA usually moves the right way.
You know, Omar serious when he dropped conspicuous.
It was conspicuous. Again,
you
know
borrowed that word from you.
The NBA has been fearless, and that's a real term. They have been, and the amount of fear they showed in the last 24 hours has been very conspicuous, and the silence from the ones who speak the loudest, a.k.a. LeBron, a.k.a. Kerr, who did lyrical gymnastics not to speak.
He dropped the classic, I haven't researched it
I don't know
to
enough.
speak.
I don't know
Wake
enough
up
about it.
researching. And Pop has kept his mouth shut. And what's my boy in New Jersey? You know, the earth is flat.
Kyrie.
None of them have said a word.
Do you really think Adam Silver backed down? Because he said, we're going to allow everybody to have free speech. You just need to be ready for the consequences.
Yeah, he just told Daryl Morey, you're fired. He was very artful in the way he said, listen, you can say it, but you won't be a part of what we're doing.
I think the apology was a bit knee-jerk but I'm with you, though.
Because I feel Houston was more apologetic than anything else.
Correct.
Harden had to apologize.
Yeah, because they had Yao Ming.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they had Yao Ming.
They canceling Houston games in China.
I think the only thing that Silver the NBA issued that apology, and then when Silver made his official statement, he was like, "Hey, we didn't take China into consideration, but at the same time, we're not going to restrict free speech." It's an interesting quandary, but I don't really think it's that bad. I just think you just then got to go to India. If you lose China, fine, go to India.
Dog, China's
Okay.
It's easy for you to say.
Which is why I want to go back to a point Kenyon made earlier. I'm going to reiterate in case you three didn't get it. If y'all plan to attend some away games in the future, y'all better shut the fuck up.
Listen, China is not a democracy.
18% of the world's population lives in this tiny area. They are not fucking around when it comes to them enforcing their will on their people. And although I do actually appreciate the way Steve Kerr approached that, because I wish more people who didn't know shit about shit, which I'll be the first one to say, I know nothing about what's going on in China. I'm glad that he said, hey, I either don't know this or I need to look into it before I speak. The problem, though, is the situation this puts. It's a situation that it puts, like you mentioned, Omar, certain facets of the NBA, whether it's the players, whether it's owners, GMs, whether it's just the league as a whole, because you have this large portion of your international customer base that is now going to suffer from these comments that were made. And the NBA is like, okay, well, China, is like, okay, we're going to pull preseason games from being broadcasted over here. My issue is that if the NBA feels as though they need to take a stance on this against China, then it kind of starts a slippery slope, because then is the NBA now going to speak up on all issues that happen in certain countries that affect their players? If we haven't forgotten, Turkey has been trying to kill like we can't forget that. So although I do think it's important for when Silver put out that second apology, I think I like that he put it out the second time and made it very clear where he stood. But look, it's unfortunate what happened, but if these are the consequences of us standing up for what we believe in and enforcing our values, then so be it. I just think it's very interesting to watch big business toe this line between what they claim to believe in and what impacts their bottom line.
Exactly.
We saw it in full circle last year.
And Daryl Morey, all he did was one fucking tweet. It wasn't like he was trying to burn the Chinese flag. It was one tweet, and I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when they came to talk to Daryl. They had a come to Jesus moment.
I don't know that they're gonna fire Daryl though for that.
I guarantee you the Chinese government has said he got to go. They just can't do it now.
And the fact that and to your point,
the new owner does not like that.
No, I get it. I understand the finances behind it for sure. And listen, at the end of the day, protect your money. I'm not, it is what it is. It's just funny to watch the hypocrisy all across the board. For me, as just little old me, it's just funny to see the hypocrisy of it all.
The fast hypocrisy.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if his tweet for the most part was about freedom. It's funny just to see people here in America say, well, he has the right to exercise, speak his mind how he feels about it.
Bring it home, Kev.
But that doesn't apply to the injustices here in America. Like,
shut up and dribble.
Keep it a buck. But at the same time, for China, if someone says, hey, they just want the best for your people, and your response is, fuck y'all. This is a lie about you as a person if you don't want something as simple as freedom for your people. So again, I completely agree with the point Kenyon just made. It's so funny to see these powers that be and the people who occupy these positions kind of toe the line when it comes to money as opposed to what you claim you believe in.
Well, to be fair, the other side of this is the Chinese do not see what the people that are in Hong Kong, what they're doing. They don't see that as a freedom movement. They see that as a separatist movement. They see it as they are bucking up against their system and they're separating themselves.
Man, if you don't get the fuck out of here with that serious
shit. but no, hey,
you want to go to China too.
Jokes aside, somebody's gonna die.
You just offended every special needs kid from here to New York, and then you want to go play nice with China?
It's great to be in America, isn't it? And on that note, let us get into Moments in Hand Egg. This is our history segment. We are going to focus on the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who will be playing this Sunday at the new Tottenham Stadium, which is a beautiful stadium, by the way. The NFL, you cannot look at that stadium and not think that the NFL is not going to put a franchise there in the very near future.
Say it again.
But there will be a rematch of the first Thursday night game where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers actually pulled off the upset against the Panthers, 20-14. They'll circle back this time without Cam Newton from Carolina's perspective, who in that game re-injured his foot. Turns out he's got a plantar fasciitis injury. The Carolina Panthers are coming
Point
off
to the person who had it.
Right. Exactly. Carolina Panthers are coming off of a win this Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 34-27. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers kind of laid an egg against the Saints this past Sunday. And so what we want to focus on with this history segment is who is on the Mount Rushmore for these teams. We will start first with the Carolina Panthers. 2 weeks ago, I believe, on our show, we tried to summarize the legacy of the Carolina Panthers in one word. There were words used like scouts, sexist, racist. Kevin had the word outstanding. So now for this sexist, racist, outstanding, scout-led organization, who is on the Mount Rushmore? We'll start here. All of us had one Mr. Stevan Smith.
LA's finest.
It is LA's finest. And I this is a dope moment for me personally because I ran track against Steve Smith.
Wow.
Uni high school. He was class of 97, so he was 2 grade levels ahead of me. But to see where this man is, he, I believe, should be a Hall of Famer, right, guys?
Yeah.
Kev, why is he on the Mount Rushmore for you for the Carolina Panthers?
Well, with a name like Stephon Latrell Sr., I feel like we can't overlook the accomplishments he made, especially with his size. I just think that he flat out is the best player in their franchise's history, the very short and young history that they have. But, I mean, you just look at his first game, the first play, opening kickoff, was a house call against the Vikings. And that was the only game they won that season, but it just went to show that I think he was their, 3rd round draft pick, and he was slated to, I guess, just be a return specialist, maybe play in the slot. But he took that and became their number 1 receiver, their best receiver, in my opinion. He had huge playoff games for them, helping them go to the Super Bowl that they eventually lost. And what I thought was interesting was that he was the first player since Art Monk with the Skins in '84 to lead a team in receptions, to lead the league in receptions on a team that ran the ball more than they threw it. To be someone who was like probably half an inch taller than me or Kenyon, I think it just speaks volumes that he was able to be that consistent, that good for that long on a team that didn't have that much history.
Easily for me, he is among, and I think there are 3, the greatest 5-footers to ever play in the NFL. Darryl Green, Barry Sanders, and Steve Smith. And 2 of those guys are in the Hall of Fame. I believe Steve Smith will be there as well. Junior Blue, why is Steve Smith on your list of Mount Rushmore members for the Carolina Panthers?
Because he had over 1,000 receptions, 81 touchdowns, and almost 15,000 yards. And he, by his own admission, said the best quarterback I ever played with was Jake Delhomme.
Say that part again.
Jake Delhomme was the best quarterback he ever played with.
It doesn't even sound right saying somebody saying it out fucking loud.
But hold on, let's get the list that he has. Chris Winkie,
It's true.
Matt Lytle, Rodney Peete, Randy Fasani, Vinny Testaverde, David Carr, Matt Moore, Jimmy Clausen, Brian St. Pierre, Cam Newton, and I think he finished up with Flacco.
Wow.
One last parting shot.
That is a parting shot.
Hey, he made the playoffs.
For me, it's all about attitude.
Yeah.
You can be a small player. Usually the small players are the ones that got the chips on their shoulders. But He was the small player that wasn't annoying to other players, like Chris Paul is. You know what I mean? Like,
Define annoying.
Listen what I'm saying. He had respect. You knew that was a football player.
Respect is given and sometimes taken.
He took it.
Physically.
Yeah. And for someone his size to be considered an all-around, all-time great football player and then be the leading receiver in franchise history, you got to put him on the Mount Rushmore.
So he was
Didn't
just
he break his teammate's jaw?
That's
Yep.
right. Yeah. Ken, it was a cornerback.
Shouldn't have
Ken,
said
I
nothing.
can't remember his name. He was just recently inducted into the Carolina Panthers Ring of Honor, and this is what he said in his speech. And to your point, Omar, one of the things that I always struggled with in my career that a lot of men don't know was I never wanted to let you guys down. I didn't love the game. I loved the men. And I loved beating up other men for my teammates.
Something wrong with that, man.
That could be taking a hoe.
Hey, man. Hey.
Michael Irvin know what's up.
If it was anybody else, with jokes would be going all day. He might show up at your house.
All right, let's go to someone that was not a unanimous selection. Junior Blue had Marty Herney as on the Mount Rushmore for Carolina. Talk about that, Junior Blue.
I'm going to stick with my scouts that I had a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Marty Herney has been the GM since 2002, right after George Seifert left. And like we went over in a show, the drafting and the putting together of this team, although the head coaching might not be good, the actual drafting and the players they have, from Peppers to Kuechly to Steve Smith, Thomas Davis, all these people that they drafted who became all pros. I mean, he knows how to build a team. They just don't know how to hire the right coach.
Okay. Omar lone wolfed it with his Rushmore with Mr. Sam Mills. Talk about it.
Okay, so this is purely a sentimental pick. Sam Mills was a free agent signing, and he was a veteran free agent who brought respect to the locker room. He helped bring along and fold this locker room into a football team. He was one of those players where he actually helped the coaches, where he was a coach in the locker room as a player. Mm-hmm. Forget the fact in the first 3 years he had 331 tackles. He was beloved universally from the top of the organization to the bottom of the organization. And he helped them establish the Carolina Panthers as an NFL franchise. Mm-hmm. And you take that with he went from playing to coaching. And as a coach, he was still universally beloved from the top to the bottom of the franchise. And then he went from coaching to being sick, and he passed away early at 45 years old. Mm-hmm. So you take a man who was a building block of the franchise from beginning to the end of his life.
Yep.
He deserves a spot. Sentimentally.
Right.
May not be numbers wise.
Right.
But if you talk to anybody who's been with that franchise from beginning to now, and they know Sam Mills, they will say he deserves a spot on that mountain.
So speaking of building blocks, the one lone wolf that I had was Mr. Muhsin Muhammad, the Moose. Muhsin Muhammad was drafted by the Panthers in the second round of the 96 NFL draft. He was a two-time Pro Bowl selection for the Panthers in 99 and 2004. He also made the 2004 All-Pro team. His career with the Panthers, it took off once George Seifert became the coach. Particularly that first year, 96 receptions, 8 touchdowns, 1,200 receiving yards. And then he led the NFL in receptions in the 2000 season with 102 receptions. He averaged 1,000 yards each season from 98 to 2000. And the reason why I have him on my Mount Rushmore is that point about being a building block. Both Carolina and Jacksonville, for me, the reason why those two organizations stand out in my mind is because they were newly born franchises, expansion franchises who had success early. And Muhsin Muhammad was the best player on the Panthers during that period and really did serve as a building block for them. That's why I had the
Not
Moose.
when he got to the Bears.
He robbed y'all.
Shit.
Kev's lone wolf, he lone wolfed it with Mr. Jordan Gross, another University of Utah player, just like Mr. Steve Smith. Talk about him, Kev.
It was basically for the same reasons that you and Omar picked the lone wolves that you did. It was, I feel like Jordan Gross served as that cornerstone at offensive tackle for them, a position that most franchises struggle to lock down for a 10-year period, the way Carolina did. He started every game his rookie season in 2003. He was a key piece on that offense, taking them to the Super Bowl. And I think, you look at any franchise that, I'll take my glasses off, but it's hard to when I look at basically like how the Ravens base their franchise. Hey, we're going with Jonathan Ogden. He's going to protect whatever clown loser we put at quarterback for the next decade. And I think they were able to do that. And he helped Jake Delhomme, and he helped this franchise not only spending all 10 of his seasons there, but then afterwards, now he's working as a sideline reporter. So it's one of those sentimental things, the way Omar mentioned, just about a guy spending his on the field and off the field career dedicated to one team and doing it at a highly valued position. I think that he definitely deserves props for that.
Kev, we'll stay with you. I think a few of us had this player, Mr. Julius
JP
Peppers, on the Mount Rushmore. Talk about Mr. Peppers.
Julius Peppers, I would say, was the best defensive player on that underrated, sometimes forgotten Super Bowl defense.
Yeah.
He's a franchise leader in sacks. He had, in his 2 stints in Carolina, he had, I want to say, 7 seasons of 10-plus sacks, which is, again, just points to his longevity. Franchise leader in forced fumbles. He's number 4, I think, all time in sacks.
That's right.
NFL history.
Yep.
And he's, again, just like Jordan Gross, employed by the Carolina Panthers. For a team that's so young, it's impressive to see how many guys, no matter if they go to other teams, whatever, come back. Even despite Steve Smith's little issues he had when Carolina cut him, the guys, when their career's over, they come back and want to be a part of this organization. So for Julius Peppers, I think he's one of the pass rushers and not just underrated like this defense. I think he's just underrated for his career as a whole, but he made most of his bones in Carolina.
He retired as the only player in league history with 150 sacks and 10 interceptions. And he retired as the active sack leader when he did retire.
Well, it speaks to his athleticism. I think Julius Peppers is one of the early pioneers, and this is why, for me, he's on that Mount Rushmore of that cross-sport phenomenon, particularly when you're talking about football and basketball. This guy is a guy who put up 20 and 10 in the NCAA tournament as a walk-on for the University of North Carolina. And that athleticism is what allowed him to have that many sacks and also that many interceptions. Junior Blue, staying with defense, he lone wolfed it here. He had Mr. Thomas Davis.
Thomas Davis, to me, he was drafted in 2002. It was actually Marty Herney's first draft pick. Played 14 years for the Carolina Panthers, right? Every time he had 3 torn ACLs. Every year he would put up 100 tackles plus. Every year he was the captain of that defense. He showed up every game. And every year he got snubbed for his Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
He was what, the Susan Lucci of the NFL. He every year, and
That's
I
got
would
to be the first Susan Lucci reference on the show.
That's got to be the first Susan Lucci reference in the history of sports.
But every year he would get snubbed. It wasn't until his 11th year that he finally made a Pro Bowl. He made an All-Pro squad, and it's 2019. He's playing for the Chargers, and he's still doing it. He had the same amount of sacks and same amount of tackles as Khalil Mack last weekend.
Yeah.
So he's still doing his thing.
Fuck you.
Ooh, Junior Blue's digging deep. What'd you say, Kev? Parting shot. Jerry Richardson is somebody that I had, I believe. Who else had Jerry?
did.
Omar had Jerry Richardson. I mean, it's just hard to,
Bitch
know.
ass.
Omar, you got it.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. I think it's ironic because Greg Hardy, and this is what I'll say, continuing this theme of hypocrisy with professional teams and professional sports. Greg Hardy, who is, infamous for
Smack my bitch up.
domestic
With guns
violence.
on the bed.
Domestic violence. And a lot of players at that time, Greg Hardy was with the Carolina Panthers. A lot of players were rooting for Carolina to sort of give him a second chance. And Jerry Richardson was like, no, we're not going to do that because here we do things right. And then we find out at the end of it all that at Carolina, they weren't necessarily doing things right.
Do as I say, don't do as I do.
They had Blue Jean Day.
But at the same time, this is he was the first former NFL player since George Halas to actually have ownership of a team. I mean, they've got a statue, I think, already for him outside of their stadium. So regardless of what you think about the man, I think that you can't tell the story of the Carolina Panthers without mentioning Jerry Richardson. Omar, do you have anything to add to
And that's
that?
why I added him. Like, as much as I don't like him, it wasn't easy for him to become the owner of the Panthers. It was hard fought, and he had the fortitude to make it happen. And it's not easy to be an expansion owner of any team in any league. And they turned the Panthers into a quick turnaround to be successful. And I think that at the very least, that was to his leadership, because you can be great and flawed at the same time. His flaws outweighed his greatness. But I think for what that team needed, he was a great. He can be considered a great owner, especially since he sold it for $2 billion. So
Kevin, who was your last Mount Rushmore for Carolina?
I had to put Cam Newton in there.
the fuck?
I think he's the modern face of the franchise the last decade, despite what anybody could say. I'm sorry?
She?
Yes, we're going to use correct pronouns on this show.
Auntie?
Auntie Cam. He's the team's only league MVP, despite coming up short in the Super Bowl that year. He took the team to that second one. I think that we can't go without saying that. And I think, again, despite his current situation and recent criticisms, he did at least give them a chance to win, even if it was every other year. He never put two solid back-to-back years together. But I think when it's all said and done, whether Cam goes and moves on or however his career plays out there, he revolutionized the game, and he did it so far with this team. And as much as I love watching Jake Delhomme as an underdog, I think Cam Newton is the best quarterback they've had in the team history.
Junior Blue, who was your last one?
I had Luke Kuechly. He seems like he's been in the league forever. It's just been since 2012. In 8 years, he has, already All-Pro 7 times. He gives his all on the field, and he's about one concussion away from forgetting it all.
He's going to be in the same room that Zach Thomas is in.
I'm forgetting it all. So he's giving his life to the Panthers.
And that's why he's on the. And that's why he's on. That was a lessism. I think you guys missed it. He's on the Mount Rushmore because he's giving his life to the Panthers. That's all. Let's get to our S. Carter Collective. Red O, please take it away.
It's The Rock. So I this one I took 2 different verses, little piece from 2 different verses, and put it together.
Man.
You'll understand when I'm done.
That's why he was quiet in the chat today.
Yeah.
Listen. So the first part, it goes HOVA. I got my mojo back, baby. Oh, behave. Nah, don't be afraid. Yawn your articles, hawk spit at Jay. Y'all from afar threw darts my way. What you thought I would not have nothing to say? Nope. Y'all fell into the booty trap. I set just to see dude react. And now you can't leave. You open the door, got 'em at you annually. Now that's the first part.
This might be a John Gruden.
Listen. And the second part is, I've been real all my life. They confuse it with conceit. Since I will not lose, they try to help him cheat. But I would not lose, for even in defeat, there's a valuable lesson learned, so it evens it up for me. I'm going to say that part one more fucking time. Since I will not lose, they try to help him cheat. But I will not lose, for even in defeat, there's a valuable lesson learned, so it evens it up for me. When the grass is cut, the snakes will show. I got to thank the little homie Nas for that, though. Talking to you, Khalil. Saving me the hassle, speaking to half of these assholes. And I'm going to let karma catch up to Jazz. Oh, whoa, I'm back before you had a chance to miss me. It was gone for a minute. My mama can't save you this time. It's history. You're going to have to put that out there, though. So, it ain't Jay-Z. It's JG. It is straight up John Gruden. Because last year,
Oh my God.
he decided to bring his team there
Yeah.
towards the end of the
On
week.
Friday.
And even in defeat, it's a valuable lesson learned, so it evens it up for me.
That's right.
He brought him out there early this year.
He said Monday, we going straight after last week.
Y'all can even go to Shorty's for a
You can have shorties for 3 nights.
We got time. And then Nagy decided to do exactly what Gruden did the year before, as if it wasn't out there for the world to see, and brought us out there towards the end of the week, and we played like we were in mud.
And the thing is this is not new.
Right.
It's like,
But it's only a contrast because it was exactly 1 year before what he did,
Yep.
and then you see what he did this time. And the other part was just basically, it's like you got to give it up to what John is doing. He took so many fucking darts from me, from everybody, from the media.
Us.
And he is doing it his way, and he's taking his small steps and he's taking his small victories, and they are improving.
listen, I was impressed with the game plan Sunday. I really was. Like, it was that if you had a game plan to go at a defense like Chicago, the game plan he called, it was immaculate. It was well played.
You would have heard that on the show if you listened to last week's show.
On his birthday.
Do y'all remember my birthday?
Take a sip on that shit.
Do you remember? Better question.
Let's get back to Moments in Hendag. We will now go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their Mount Rushmore. I believe all of us had Warren Sapp.
Yep.
I'll start with you, Junior Blue. Why is Warren Sapp?
He was the most dominant defensive tackle in his time.
He made that position sexy,
Yeah,
right?
You know what I'm saying? That's what Aaron Donald's doing now, he was doing in 99. He had 16 and a half sacks that year.
And if you ask Warren Sapp, he'd tell you the same.
I think he said it this morning.
Oh.
He was on an all-decade team for the 2000s and the 90s. I mean, he was dominant. I mean, he deserves to be up there. He's probably their best player.
He's their first player to be first ballot Hall of Fame.
Wow.
With the personality to match.
Kev, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, everything less said above. Aaron Donald, in the sense that, they double teamed, triple teamed him. It was nothing anyone could do. And I also thought it was interesting to see that he was one of 12 defensive players in history to make the Pro Bowl, get named Defensive Player of the Year, and win a Super Bowl. But I did forget, and just looking back at, his troubles have been documented, but he was the first to get like Laramie Tunsil.
Yes.
Reference in terms of the night before the draft.
Yes.
His,
Cocaine, marijuana,
and some other things.
Not just Miami
the
life.
night before the draft. Who does that? But despite all of that, Warren Sapp was a machine, and he was the cornerstone again to one of the greatest, most successful defenses, most revolutionary defenses that the NFL's ever seen.
Three of us, I believe, myself, Kev, and Redo, we had Mr. Leroy Selman.
You sure it wasn't Tony?
Tony.
It definitely was not Tony. If you look at a picture of him, he's either LeBron or he's Leroy. But there's definitely Lee in front of it. Redo, talk about Mr. Selman, please.
I don't think you can legitimately have a Bucs Mount Rushmore without Tony. He is the founding
He still
father.
said Tony.
I'm shit. Goddamn, Leroy. Leroy Green. You cannot.
No, that's also wrong.
I know
Well,
that
he
part.
doesn't have a middle name, so Tony. Let's do it.
You can't have a Mount Rushmore without Mr. Selman. He is literally their first pick.
I don't believe him.
You ain't got to. The rum believes me. He immediately made his mark on the NFL. Eventually, he put together a Hall of Fame career in creamsicle.
Yeah.
When you are the first pick of a franchise and you're a Hall of Fame player, one, that sells itself. The numbers speak for themselves. 6 Pro Bowl selections, Defensive Player of the Year in 1963. First number retired by the Bucs. He also has significant contributions to his community on and off the field. So I do believe, especially being the first pick, and they got it right, he deserves his spot.
He was Lawrence Taylor before there was a Lawrence Taylor. I believe without injuries, because his career, he only played impactfully for 8 seasons.
That's a long time to play impactfully.
But, you look at some of the other players that
You're right.
we
No,
know.
you're right.
They've
I
played
got you.
longer. He had a back injury, but he was a beast at defensive tackle. Clearly one of the greatest 3-4 defensive ends to ever play in football. Kevin, why is he on your Mount Rushmore for Tampa Bay?
Of course, for all the reasons again mentioned above. I'll be honest, I didn't know much about him before we started researching for the show. And I've heard the name,
Right.
But then you actually look at, like you mentioned, those short years, but those extremely dominant years. I mean, 18 sacks in 1974, Defensive Player of the Year in 79. He's of course inducted in their Ring of Honor, first person to be in there. And even in 2010, when they started doing those top 100 players, he was in that list. And I, as someone who has followed the league, but of course I'm not older to remember those players, I was shocked to know that he was that good. But it just goes to show how great the Buccaneers, when they were good, how great their defensive players were. Because I don't think did anyone else have offensive players on this list?
They could have been. I made a mistake. I said 63, but that was his number.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted you to know that I knew. Listen.
You went Tony, then you went Green. I
Hey,
just
man.
figured we're not going to get 3 strikes tonight.
Listen. I'm good with 4.
Junior Blue, you had Mr. Rondé Barber.
Rondé Barber was a personal pick for me.
Okay.
One of my favorite players on that defense. You had the stars. You had Warren Sapp. You had Derek Brooks. You had John Lynch. You had Simeon Rice. You had stars on every level. But if you go back and if you watch their games, it was Rondé Barber who came up at the end of games with crucial interceptions, crucial forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. He did it in the playoffs leading up to the Super Bowl. It was just one of those things where he got forgotten a lot.
Yeah.
But when you look at the games, you're like, well, we wouldn't have won without him.
Yeah.
And you think of 15 years as a Tampa Bay cornerback and a safety,
Yeah.
never missed a game.
Jesus.
Is he
Omar, you were supposed to ask him who they played in the Super Bowl when he took that interception back.
I lobbed that.
It was good for you to ask this far.
Is he
I
a
love you all day, not me.
Listen, I took the ass whooping. I'm going to take it with pride, man. I ain't nothing I can say.
I've never heard Omar say that. Is he a Hall of Famer in your book?
Yes.
Rondé Barber's a Hall of Famer?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Who else was on your list, Redo?
Tony.
Tony Dungy.
Mr. Tony Dungy.
You was going to get the Tony out one way or another.
Listen, sir. Listen. So, regardless of any numbers, the one thing that Tony Dungy did was make the Tampa Bay Buccaneers respectable.
Yeah.
And no one else did that.
Yeah.
Tony Dungy, as a man, as a coach,
Yeah.
made that franchise that was moribund and unrespectable respectable. And that alone puts him on the Mount Rushmore.
Well said. I had Tony Dungy as well. Kev, I think you had Tony Dungy too.
I did, Mr. Anthony Kevin Dungy, who not only shares my name but also my birthday. But yeah, I think that as time goes on, we really don't appreciate and give Tony Dungy the respect from a numbers standpoint. He had one losing season in his career. I'll say that again. He had one losing season in his career, and that was the first year in Tampa Bay. Everything else was either he went 500 or we in the playoffs.
And in that, and then the second half of that first season, they went 5-2. So he had a bad half of a season.
Yeah, and I just think that continues to go unmentioned. And if you look at not only the defense that they developed, but the fact that he was the first coach to beat all 32 teams. His coaching tree produced Lovie Smith, produced Mike Tomlin coming out of Tampa Bay. He took them to four. I think they had 4 playoff appearances, one conference championship game, and then we all know what happened the year after.
He won one Super Bowl.
I'm sorry?
He won one Super Bowl in Tampa Bay.
Oh, yes, correct. Yeah,
okay.
Speaking on the things that he's, he doesn't get credit. Hold on, just because you rolling in there. So, yeah, Tony does deserve his credit. And, again, I just think he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Junior Blue, who was your last?
Derek Brooks. I mean, dominant middle linebacker. Another player who the 13 years at middle linebacker never missed a game. I mean, your job is collision.
Yeah.
And you never miss a game.
Yeah.
He was an 11-time Pro Bowler, 9-time All-Pro, all 2000. I mean, he was Mr. Linebacker at the time. And he was dominant, and he fit right in with that defense. That Tampa
224 games played.
Yeah.
At middle linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah. Kev, who's your last guy?
It was Derek Brooks. Played all 14 years in Tampa Bay, 11 Pro Bowls, 10 of them straight. 9-time All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year in 2002. He was one of, again, the best and one of the most overlooked middle linebackers. We talked about Singletary last week. Of course, Ray Lewis's name always gets thrown in there. You cannot have a linebacker conversation without him. And the fact that he was the quiet leader on that defense, but let's mention you got talent on every level. He was the guy in the middle of the field, kept everybody in place. And the fact that he did it all in Tampa Bay when he could have left and went other place, he stayed there, got it done, and again, he deserves his credit.
The Tony Dungy of middle linebackers. We're going to get out of here on the funny, though. I had Hugh Culverhouse as my 4th member on the Mount Rushmore for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hugh Culverhouse was the original owner for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He got the opportunity to purchase that franchise because of a dispute with the NFL. He wanted the Rams. And the Ursays was like, nah. We're going to get the Rams. And then they traded the Rams to the Colts with the different owner. And Culverhouse was like, yo, how are you going to just leave me out of this deal? So he had first dibs on the next franchise, which happened to be Tampa Bay. Now, here's the thing, and this is going to sound familiar to us LA sports fans. While Culverhouse was the owner, which I believe was up until 1983, Tampa Bay led the league in profitability. But their attendance sucked.
Sound like who?
Donald Sterling, the Clippers. Their attendance sucked, and also during that time, they lost their best quarterback in franchise history, Mr. Doug Williams. He went to a completely different league because Culverhouse wouldn't pay him. Also, if you remember, one Bo Jackson, who was a number 1 pick in whatever year the draft he came out, and Bo was like, I'm not going to Tampa Bay. I'll go play baseball. I'll go do my hobby rather than go to Tampa Bay. So this guy lost the best quarterback in franchise history, missed the opportunity to get a transcendent player out of Bo Jackson, and then when he ended up having to sell the franchise, this franchise that he so desperately fought for, turns out they were knee-deep in bankruptcy. And it set the pattern for the ineptitude of that franchise. So for me, who Culverhouse is on the Mount Rushmore.
The king of creamsicles.
Yes, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's move on to our Hot Topics football tea. We're going to go rapid fire here with this one. And I will start with you, Redo. Jay Gruden said, listen, if the keys still work on Monday,
I'm coming to work.
I'm coming to work.
They changed the fucking lock.
Kevin, what happened on Monday for Jay Gruden?
Motherfucking key ain't working.
But here's my question to you, Redo. How do you fix what is going on with Washington? Because I got to tell you, Monday afternoon, Bruce Allen had a press conference, and it was god-awful. The organization is a mess. How do you fix Washington?
It cannot be fixed until you have a new owner. He is one of the worst owners in the National Football League. And unless there's a new owner, it literally can't be fixed. Because if you have, what Parcells say? If I am cooking it, should be able to choose the ingredients.
Wow.
The coach did not want the quarterback they drafted. Said he would not be ready.
Wow.
Ownership wanted that quarterback. Now look at it. Now don't get me wrong, he was on the hot seat already. But it is just a pattern of behavior from this owner who thinks he's Mr. Jones in Dallas, and he has no skill to be Jones.
I think they got to change the name. I think it's a curse on that franchise because
Sir.
Kev, is Mr. Minshew in Jacksonville. I think they took him as a flyer in the 6th round, but this guy is setting NFL records as a rookie. Is he now the present for Jacksonville?
He's the present and the future. And I think you got to flip the switch now and let him take the reins. And it just goes to show that that's what's working across the board in the NFL. You get the young, capable, cheap quarterback that you can build around and kind of groom into who you want him to be. I mean, Nick Foles came in, but he was not the long-term solution, at least not for the next 3 to 5 years. And he got hurt. They got this kid. I think he rolled with him.
Junior Blue, Christian McCaffrey, who I said coming into the league, I said they're going to make this white boy a superstar.
About to win me some money.
Superstar MVP.
That's the question.
Yes.
Is he the MVP?
Yes.
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 AP is the last non-quarterback to win an NFL MVP. That was in 2012. Christian McCaffrey is on pace for 2,771 scrimmage yards. That's what he's on pace for. He's the MVP.
He's Marshall Faulk.
Ask me who got him on his fantasy team. Ask me.
He went from ask him to ask me.
Both of them.
All right, this is for everybody. Rapid fire. Who loses first? The New England Patriots or the San Francisco 49ers? I'll start with you, Kev.
Unfortunately, Kenyon, it's your 49ers. As much as I love to see what they did last night, they did lose the most important piece, not the best, but the most important piece of their offense, Kyle Juszczyk, for about a month or so. And yeah, I just think New England doesn't play anybody for the next 3 weeks. So,
Redo, you agree?
I agree, but the person who's not going to lose is Belichick because that was the quarterback he tried to trade. He wanted to get rid of Brady for, and they're 9-0 between the two teams. Like Belichick was right on both sides.
Oh, that's creative. Junior Blue.
The 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean, they have who? New England has the Giants. I think they have Cleveland. They have the Jets coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Then Miami again.
And probably, Miami.
Throw Miami in there. Bigger road win from this weekend. Junior Blues Raiders, Omar's Green Bay Packers,
Fuck you.
oh God.
are the Indianapolis Colts against Kansas City. Bigger road win. Kev?
You want to tell him less?
I would say
I'm not even gonna because
the
it was a
win
home
with
game.
That's what I'm saying.
the win with the most implications, in my opinion, is the Packers win over the Cowboys. Just because if they both happen to say win their divisions, this could come down to impact the playoffs. But it also just goes to show, and I'm shocked that the rest of y'all picked the Cowboys because Aaron Rodgers does not lose to that team in that stadium. As impressive as the other two wins were, I think this win will mean more 3 or 4 months.
Omar, you agree?
I agree, but only because it's between them and the Colts. The Raiders was a home game, technically.
They were on the road.
Motherfuckers was a
I
home
had
game.
the Packers too, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I had the Packers too.
I think the Raiders, I think that's the biggest win. I do. The Raiders legit are a wild card contender. And it's not a
We
joke.
went from all the teams being 2-2 to half of them now being 3-2.
Listen,
Listen, it's
I've been trying to give y'all the respect y'all
Hey,
deserve
no,
this
hey,
week.
I-
given
He's trying to shit on y'all.
No, I'm not. I'm serious. Given,
He's saying y'all
listen,
don't deserve it.
given the Chargers, the Chargers are charging. That's what's happening. They got a lot of injuries, and it's not working out well for them. The Raiders are starting to believe these 2 wins are big wins.
Yeah. Big wins.
You beat the Colts in Indianapolis, then you fly to London
Khalil Mack.
and you beat the Bears.
First
And granted,
game.
they missed. Akeem Hicks was truly
Yes,
missed in
he
that
was.
game. But whatever, a win is a win. They got the win. Now they come into a bye. Listen, they believe, and that's why they got the streaker. I don't know how much he's gonna help.
Zay.
Gruden knows he needs help. It's a huge win, I think, for the Raiders. We'll
But
see.
we
about
can't
that.
go without saying real quick. We can't go without giving credit to Indianapolis. And
Oh, absolutely.
staying patient, but sticking to the game plan. Something that even my Ravens couldn't do. You realize that you're the more physical team, and that's something they can't stop. You punch them in the fucking mouth until they tap out.
Kev,
And
say
that's
it.
what the fourth quarter was of that game.
Kev, say it again.
You
Listen,
tap them out, man. This is football.
listen.
This ain't basketball. It ain't baseball. Punch the opponent in the mouth until they quit.
And I think that's also why the Raiders win is bigger, because Indianapolis on a main stage, like, it's very easy. New England did the same thing in the playoffs last year, but it's very easy to overlook that because it's like it's
I
new.
mean, I think you're doing too much with this shit, though.
No,
Like,
no.
listen, we
I don't
know
think
because
so.
we know why with the mistakes that were made
What are you talking about?
between the 2 teams. The Raiders got there and we didn't, and they still barely won.
I'm not talking
So,
about the. I'm not talking about the Bears.
I'm talking about the big.
I'm
it's
talking
a,
about, no,
the,
I'm
the
talking-
big win.
Hold on, no. I'm not talking about the Bears. What I'm saying is this: the reason why what Indianapolis did amplifies what the Raiders did is because when
gotta
New
play 'em
England,
again.
when New England did exactly what Indianapolis did on Sunday night and punched Kansas City in the mouth, kept Mahomes on the sidelines, and played a physical game, it put the blueprint out there on how to deal with Kansas City. And if you look at Kansas City's next 6 games, they've got the Texans who can run. They've got Denver who
looked
can
great
run.
last week.
They've got teams that are going to do the same thing that Indianapolis did, especially with the injuries that Kansas City has on the front line. So if Kansas City is weakened, not only are we talking about Oakland competing for a wild card spot, but now all of a sudden the stuff is opened up. That's why it's a
Man,
big win for
this
them.
and the Lakers, y'all gonna have me cry.
we all know the Dodgers ain't gonna make it.
All right, let's get to secure the bag. So we talked about this at the beginning of the season when we did our NFL season preview. We talked about players that had an opportunity to secure the bag. I'm going to go down the list of the players and just unanimously, I check in on players who we said, yes, this is an opportunity for them to secure the bag and see if they're actually doing that. We'll start with LA and Austin Eckler. Mr. Gordon is back in town. Is he securing the bag, guys?
No,
No.
not at all.
I mean, he's securing a $2 million bag.
Yeah, it ain't the bag though. We talking about the bag.
He's not
We ain't
getting
talking
that.
about
He's
that.
not
Yeah,
getting that
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Dev had,
Not that bad.
Not that bag. Dev had Reggie Wagland for Kansas City. He's got nothing going on. He's got 2
Nothing.
tackles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing.
Nothing. Mr. Jalen Ramsey. Is he securing the
he's
bag?
Securing the back.
By staying healthy. Stay healthy. I'm secure this. You know what I
all
got.
the way. Back the truck up.
With no stats.
Hey.
The 0 stats mean everything.
Mr. Deshaun Watson, who just had 500 yards on
And-
Sunday
and
and
how
5
many sacks?
touchdowns.
0.
Listen.
I said it in the preview. If he stays healthy, he's gonna secure the bag.
And it's happening. They figured it out this is going on 3 weeks now, Kev, that the offensive line of Houston is figuring it out.
They talked a lot of shit when
We've
they
been
did all
saying
them
it for 2
trades.
years.
Mr. Tyler Eifert. Is he securing the bag?
Fumble in the bag.
He's got 13 catches for 95 yards and 1 touchdown so far.
That is a no.
Yep.
All right. Mr. Greg Robinson, left tackle of the Cleveland Browns. He's at a 69 rating according to PFF. He's tied for 15th in penalties, but he has only allowed 1 sack. Is he securing the bag as a left tackle for Mr. Baker Mayfield?
Yes, because that 69 is double whatever anybody else on the line got.
Exactly.
Oh. Kev? All right.
I think his concern is who he's blocking for.
Yeah, for real.
Than how much he's going to get paid or who he's blocking. That's a different story.
Kev, you went out on a limb with your 2 picks. First one is Robbie Anderson. His quarterback is busy kissing dirty chicks, so he's got mononucleosis. Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson's stats is 11 catches for 130 yards. Is he securing the bad guys?
Nope.
That is a negative.
Yo, one of the Texans receivers did that on Sunday.
He doubled that.
Hey, Darnold is coming back. Darnold's coming back. So we got 3/4 of the season left.
And then you went further out on the ledge and said Kenyon. You said Kenyon Drake from Miami, and his stats are 31 carries for 113 yards.
That's a good game.
But he plays Washington on Sunday. Hedging my bets.
Listen, folks, we're only 5 weeks in. This could change. Danny Trevathan, 44 tackles, 1 sack. Omar, is he securing the bag?
I don't know if he's securing a bag, but he is actually he's securing a paycheck. It's a little different.
It's not the bag.
It's not the bag.
Not the bag.
Because his age is going against him.
Exactly. He looked a step slower.
Yeah.
Clinton Dix was on the list as well. He's got 27 tackles. He's got 2 interceptions, one of which he took to the house. Is he securing the bag, Redo?
Depends on how the rest of the season go, but not so far.
Not so far.
I may be personal about this. I've never been a fan of Ha. All I see is green and yellow.
Okay, Junior Blue, is he securing the bag?
I think he is.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so as well. Kev?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's
See if
full
he
of
keep
fools,
it up all.
though,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
He continues to do this every 2-3 years. So yeah, he's gonna get it.
Did you say he's securing the
Eating
bag?
off
full
everybody
of
else.
Fools go. Jadeveon Clowney. Is he securing the bag? Junior Blue.
I'm gonna say yes because he only has 1 sack, but if you watch him play the edge, you watch Seattle play, he is playing well.
Listen, I said it in the preview show, and I'm gonna say it again. That line is going to be a problem the second half of the season when they get Jerron Reed back and Seattle in general. Russell Wilson,
That's my other NFL MVP pick.
That's my MVP.
Listen, we talk Christian McCaffrey, and all props due to McCaffrey, but Russell Wilson
He's playing out his fucking mind.
Seattle is going to be. Pete Carroll is sitting up there in the Pacific Northwest rubbing his hands together because they're going to be a problem the second half of the season. Jadeveon Clowney is going to have something to do with it. I think he is securing the bag. Last and least, in my opinion, is Marcus Peters. We had Marcus Peters on this list. Now, he's got 10 tackles. He does have a pick 6, but he is 99th in terms of receptions allowed. Is he securing the bad guys?
Hell no.
No.
He looking at the back of people's jerseys too much.
They trying to trade him to the Clippers.
I mean, Jesus.
Go shoot hoops, motherfucker.
All right, let's get out of here with
It wasn't 2 more people on there, but it's
with
fine.
our game picks.
Jameis. What about Jameis?
I had Eli and Dak
Oh,
Prescott.
you know what?
but
I
it's
did.
fine.
You're so right. Well, no, let's stay there real quick. That's right. Dak Prescott. I think we would have said he was securing the bag
2 weeks ago. It's another Jay-Z segment. It was all good just a week
It
ago.
was all good just a week ago. Listen, I know what Jerry Jones is doing.
He's dropped $10 million a week.
I'm not mad at what Jerry Jones is doing because Jerry Jones knows what he has.
Yes.
He's like, we just gonna wait this thing
$10
out.
million, and he went from $40 million, and now he's down to 20.
He's like, if it costs me, it costs me, right? Kev, you agree with
And
that?
that's what happens when you play legit competition. Don't crown nobody after 2 weeks, man.
I'll stay with you, Kev. Eli Manning was also on that list.
And bag full of AARP cards.
That broadcasting bag. 'Cause that's the next one he getting.
Is he dead?
Listen, him, Peyton, and Cooper have a great television series.
I'd
career
watch.
in front of it, but that ain't from the NFL.
It's not coming from the NFL?
Nah.
Vic Beasley, 11 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Side note, Dan Quinn, get your resume ready.
Listen.
Nobody on the Atlanta Falcons defense is securing shit.
No.
Or defending.
Defenses in the league. Listen, this is a valuable lesson my father taught me. Don't count another man's money. We're bad at this. We're bad at this.
Yeah, because he ain't got money to count because that bag ain't coming.
Big business. And then finally, Mr. Jameis Winston. Now listen, if we take away week one, 10 touchdowns.
He eating W's.
2 picks. He's eating all the W's. Okay?
Shit is wild, man.
Kev, is he securing the bag?
So far, man, I'm proud to be wrong here. I think Jameis is looking good so far. 11 touchdowns, 5 picks. He has been sacked 18 times, but he's playing well. He's not killing them in terms of games that they must win. So I'm happy for him, man.
The Raging Cajun knows what the fuck he's doing. He keeps showing everybody. Just give him some time.
Junior Blue?
He gonna
Second
fool
most
somebody.
famous man in the Kangaroo.
He gonna fool somebody.
He gonna fool somebody. Jameis, out of all of our securing the bag candidates, Jameis Winston is the one that I'm gonna wait until week 16.
This is it.
And so now we'll get to the game picks. We've got 3 in there. Listen, it's still early in the season. Omar is holding strong though. He's got 49 wins. He's the lead dog right now.
Say that again.
Omar is the lead dog. I'll say it. 49.
Who also said for now?
For now, yes, 49, 28, and 1.
I don't know if that's right.
We've got it is.
I think I'm tied with Devin.
No, you're not. Group of us are at 42. Devin's got 48. Kev's got 46. We're all close.
Was he down 1 last week?
I don't remember.
Okay.
This is what we've got here.
No, I
Just
think
you're in the front. I know you're trying to milk it, but we need to get the pick so we can get out of here. This is a bonus one, and it's Kev's idea, and I agree. Because I honestly don't know. I got a suicide pool pick, and I'm still. These are some shitty games this week. Let me just preface this.
This is probably a bad week for a suicide pool.
The shittiest game of them all is definitely the Washington Redskins versus the Miami Dolphins, who are coming off of a bye.
Somebody's O must go.
Somebody's O might go. Not even must, but they might go. Junior Blue. Who's going to win?
0-0 tie.
Washington that just fired their coach, or Miami coming off of a bye?
I'm gonna say Washington. And the reason is hopefully they play for their new coach. Like they didn't like Jay Gruden, so now they got a new voice in their ear. Maybe.
You went the wrong way because Chris Thompson was in tears on the internet.
And
he don't play no way.
Here's the thing.
He's definitely not playing with Bill Callahan.
Like, as much shit as Miami's getting, I believe Miami has a plan, and they have something that they're building towards. And winning is not part of that.
I was about to say the number 1 pick.
So I'm going with Washington.
I like that, Omar. That was really funny. Kev.
This is impossible. I think if the Dolphins were trying to win this game, they could. But these are 2 teams who can't afford to win. It's in Miami, right? So, shit. Skins by default, I guess.
See, and that was the thing. If it was in Washington, it's Washington, no doubt. But because it's in Miami, that's what makes it tricky. The coach just got fired. Listen, we trying to have some fun, man. We going 2-14. We're in Miami. We don't go to Miami normally. We're gonna have. That's what makes it tricky.
I think they have, at the very least, I think their pride is on the line where Miami has started from the season. Like, we don't have pride this year. Like, this is it.
We want to give everyone away.
Listen, what I know about Bill
second tie of the season.
What I know is that Bill Callahan, he wants to run the ball. Adrian Peterson, 30 carries, 175 yards. Just to remind everybody that he is a Hall of Fame running back. Washington wins behind Adrian Peterson. Let's get to some games that actually might matter. We'll start with Tottenham, the matchup at Tottenham. We've got the Carolina Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Listen, Carolina hasn't lost since they've not had Cam Newton.
Defense.
Kyle Allen, that defense, but most importantly, Christian McCaffrey. Will that translate over in London, Junior Blue?
When did they arrive?
Good question. Same question I got.
I'm going to go with Carolina until I find out who arrived first.
Same answer.
Yeah. Kev?
CMC becomes a star over there.
Man, Jameis in London is a wild boy. Hey, Carolina, man. Carolina.
I'm definitely
Can't trust him.
This pick might change until I find out who got there earliest. But yeah, I mean, I would say Carolina rematch. rematch. They want to make up for it. It's a divisional game, and the way that things have turned for Carolina, they're like, hey, if we can hold down the fort and get Cam Newton back, this game might matter. Means more to Carolina. We've got the probably the biggest matchup on Sunday. We've got the Los Angeles Rams at 3-2, lost a heartbreaker up in Seattle on Thursday night, going against everybody's new favorite. Omar's been on the bandwagon. Everyone's new favorite, San Francisco 49ers. Red O, who do you have in that matchup?
Man, this one's hard. McVay, this was the first time as a head coach that he lost 2 in a row. Now, to imagine that he's going to lose 3 in a row, but right now the 49ers are the better team. They're doing everything defensively, offensively, and until they lose, fuck you, Mike. But I'm going to roll with the 49ers.
Okay. Kev?
It seems like it's too good to be true with San Fran right now. They are as good as advertised. This just looks like a perfect game to drop. I'll go with the Rams.
Good point. Junior Blue.
I got the Rams. I don't see them losing 3 games in a row. And we all had questions about Cleveland, and that was supposed to be the true test of the 49ers.
I like the idea of a letdown game for San Francisco, Kevin, but when you run the ball and when you can defend well, and I've been saying it, the Rams have real problems. Jared Goff is trash, and Todd Gurley is not the running back that you need him to be. And so McVay is a great coach, but not having that running game messes everything up.
But I also think people are starting to see that Shanahan's a great coach also.
I like San Francisco in a win. The Monday night matchup, Mike wants us to acknowledge Matt Breida.
He didn't get touched for 84 yards.
Listen, he's up for trade. I got him on my bench.
We've got the Monday night matchup before we get out of here. We've got the Green Bay Packers against the Detroit Lions. I like the Packers to win at home, even though the Lions are coming off of a bye. Who's with me? Kev, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Packers should be undefeated. They didn't trick that Eagles game off, but I think they keep this going.
Packers.
All right. This has been another episode of 32 Kings Road. As a reminder, follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. Dev, get back home safely. Follow us or go to our website, theleagueam.com. Shout out to our chief diplomat, Nick Blackman. We will see you next week. Cheerio, guys.
Happy birthday, bro.
Thank you.
Nick Bosa, the bitch.
We busted in, we broke down the door, we came to win. TLA season 4, it's a whole new game. We the agents of change, whole new scope with a whole new range. It didn't exist, so we built our own lane. We all knew the risk, it's a cold ass game. But first and foremost, we reppin' the fans because we nothing but fans living out our dreams. Crossing the pond with these 32 teams. There's only one road and there's only 5 kings.